Hello friends, welcome back to DigiTalk. In this session, I am going to cover the concept of side-by-side deployment, which is also called the production redeployment. And along with that, I will show you the execution of that one with a demo file, how it works. Okay, and for that, I am going to refer this DigiTalk lab document, okay, which is part of the lab documents and then the handbook from the DigiTalk. If you want all the lab documents and the handbook of Weblogic, then it is available on bare minimum cost. Okay, for that, if you want that, then you can write us on digitalk.fmw@gmail.com. We'll send you the details. Okay, so in this session, I will first explain you the basic concept of what exactly is side-by-side deployment. Okay, and then I will deploy a sample application. Okay, and then I will show you how it works and what are the configurations that is required for the side-by-side redeployment. Okay, so before I go for explanation of this particular concept, okay, first let me bring up my machine, okay, which is running on the Amazon cloud. Okay, and let me first log into my Amazon account. Okay, and then I will bring up my EC2 machine. It will take a couple of seconds and then a minute of time to enable the login. Okay, in between I will explain you what is the concept of side-by-side deployment and how exactly it works. Okay, so I will bring up my one machine where my admin server is running along with one managed server. Okay, so in the lab document we are deploying the application in a cluster with of two managed servers, but that is not really required. Okay, if you are going to learn the concept of side-by-side deployment, then that is sufficient to have a one managed server. You can deploy the application on one managed server and then you can see how it works. Okay, so for that I am just bringing up my one of the machine, and I will bring up my admin server along with my managed server which is running on this particular machine, and then I will explain you how it works. Okay, so let go back to the document. Okay, in between. Okay, so if we talk about what is side-by-side deployment, which is also called the production redeployment. Production redeployment strategy entails introducing a new iteration of an updated application alongside an existing older version of the same application. That means with this feature, you can deploy two different versions of the same application. That means the same application will be active at the same time. And how it is possible? For that, what we need to do is we have to define the two different versions in the different applications that we are going to deploy. Okay, that we will see in the next sessions practically as well how we can do that. Okay, and when we say about that two applications are active at a time, okay, so that means if suppose that you have a version 1 of application that is already deployed there, and in parallel you are going to deploy the second version of the same application, right? So what will happen is that if I'm saying that two applications will be active at the same time, so whenever the second application get activated, okay, then all the new connections, all the new requests will be served by the latest application or the latest version. Okay, and what will happen with the older version is that whatever the sessions those has been already connected with the older version 1 when you deployed the second version, okay, those will be completed properly from the older versions of the application. Okay, so that means till you have some old connections already on the older version of your application, okay, it will not be retired. Okay, that will be active. So that means your older application will also be active, which is serving the previous connected connections, and new application or the new version will also be active, those to serve the new connections, right? So what is the benefit of that? The benefit is that we don't have a downtime for the deployment. Okay, but otherwise what we do for the deployment is that we need a downtime because we delete the application which is already deployed there, right? And then we deploy the new versions of the application which require a downtime for your application. But when we talk about the production redeployment or side-by-side deployment, so we deploy the parallel versions of the same application, right? And in that case you don't need any downtime because all the older connections will be served by the previous application, right? And once all the connections, or you can say all of the sessions has been disconnected from the previous application, then only that application going to be retired. Okay, and all the new requests at that moment, your second version of application will serve all those new request. Okay, so this is the benefit of side by side deployment. Okay, and this is properly explained in this document. Okay, and if you see this diagram, then you can see that existing client connection will be goes to your retiring application version. Why it is saying retiring? Because this application will not going to be retired unless it has some existing connections and those get successfully completed, right? So once your old connections get completed successfully, then your application will be retired, and once it is retired, then you can delete this application, this particular version of the application. And in parallel, when you have a new versions of the application, then all the new clients will be get connected to your latest application. Okay, so this is the concept of your side by side deployment, which is also called the production redeployment. And why it is preferred? Because we don't need any downtime for the application deployments. Okay, and one thing that you have to be considered when we talk about the cluster production redeployment. Okay, for suppose that you have a two servers in a cluster, right? And you have deployed the second versions of the application, and as I said, all the connections, previous connections, will be connected to your older application till that completed, right? So if you have two managed server, and we know that when we deploy an application, then each application server get its own copy of the deployed application. That means if you have two managed server, then both managed servers will have a different copy of the application, right? So if we are deploying the second versions of the application in the cluster, then it may be possible that on managed server 1 you have only few connections. However, on the managed server 2 you may have some more old connections, right? And in the managed server 1, the request may get completed prior to the managed server 2, right? So that in that case, what will happen is that managed server 1 application will get retired prior to the application on the managed server 2, because managed server 2 will still have the active older connections, right? So what will happen in that case? If suppose that at that moment, if your managed server got crashed and you have a failure capability on the Weblogic cluster, right? If you any cluster got, if any managed server got crashed, the request get failure to the other server. But if this is the case where your older application is already retired from managed server 1 and then it is running, still running on the managed server 2, in that case failover concept will not work, because failover always look for the older versions of the application, and it is running only one server, and but it is, however, it is not running on second server in this scenario. Okay, this is one of the limitation you can say about the cluster redeployment or the production redeployment. Okay, so now what is the deployment requirement? How we actually configure when we say that we can deploy that same two different versions of the same application? For that, when we develop the application, okay, then in that case we create a manifest.mf file, right? So in the manifest.mf file, we have to define the version number of the application. Okay, so now what does it mean? So now here you can see that we have a sample application that I will show you right now. Okay, for that, in version 1 of the application, in the manifest.mf file, we have mentioned Weblogic application version v1. However, in manifest.mf for the version 2, we have defined Weblogic application version v2, right? So this is the entry you have to be defined in the manifest file of your application code. Okay, so this is the, you can say this is the screenshot of that particular file. Okay, now let us go with the exercise. Okay, so in the lab document, as I said, we have a cluster of two managed servers. Okay, however, in my environment, okay, I have only bring up my one server. So what I will do is I will show you it on the one managed server only. Okay, the concept, because we are going to understand the concept here only, right? So let me first log into my machine and bring up my domain. It will take a couple of minutes. Okay, so I will log in with my EC2 user on the Amazon machine. Okay, and let me enter my password. Now I will switch to my Oracle user where I have my domain, and I will go inside my domain, right, and inside the bin. Then first I will start my node manager. Okay, because I will going to start my managed server 1 as well from the console. So if I'm starting the managed server from console, I need the node manager, right? So let me start admin server as well, and let me see the logs. Okay, it will take fraction of seconds or a minute of time, okay, hardly, to bring up the server, right? And to access this particular URL, or you can say the admin URL. I need the public DNS of my machine, right? So it is running now. So let me go to console. Okay, and then port is 7001 and the console. Okay, so this is my Weblogic console, and let me log into console. Okay, so I will deploy the application from the console, right? And again I will redeploy the second version of my application, which I will show you from the console, right? So let me bring up my manage server 1. Okay, let's go to control and then server 1 and then start. So it will take a minute of time to start the server. Till then, let me show you the what I'm going to show you. Okay, I will show you the application, right? We have two different set of applications which are we are going to deploy. Okay, now here we have two set of folder, deploy version 1 and deploy version 2, right? Here I have a sample.war file in deploy version 1, and same for deploy version 2 I have a sample.war file, same code, right? What is the difference? Let me show you. So here are two different directories. So this is the code of my first file, and here you can see that if you have a meta-inf directory, and inside that you will have a manifest.mf file. Okay, so if I will open this file, okay, let me open with this word. Okay, so here what you will see in this file is the version, that is v1, right? And now let me go back and show you same on the second application, meta-inf and then manifest.mf file. Okay, here you can see the version is defined as 2, right? So this is must for the production redeployment, right? So these are the two applications that I'm going to be deployed. So I have archived this application in the var format, right? So I will deploy this application and then I'm going to redeploy the second version of application, and then I will show you how exactly it works when we talk about the old sessions and the new sessions, then how exactly it works, right? So now let me see if my server is running now. Okay, okay, server is running. So let me go for the deployment. What exactly we need to do? First we have to deploy the application. Okay, this is exactly mentioned in this document as well. Deploy version v1, right? v1 version from the console, right? So let us go to the console and then take a look and edit and then click on install. So for that I will select my application, which is I have copied inside the version folder, and deployment 1. Okay, this is the simple var file, right? So I will follow the basic deployment process. Install this deployment as an application. I will select the target as manage server 1, right? Because it is running on manage server 1 only, right? So I will click on next. So here you can see that archive version is showing as v1, which is given in the document as well. Okay, you can go to there and then select the targets, then you will see the application version as v1, right? Just click on next, and then once it is done I will click on the finish. Okay, so this will deploy the simple application of my manage server 1, which is with the name c server underscore 1. Okay, and see what is the next step. Okay, so once it is done, once the application is activated, you will see the v1 on your application name. So let me go back and see. Let me activate the changes. Okay, and then go to deployment. Now you can see that application is prepared. So let me start it. Okay, let me start my application. Select this and then serving all request. Okay, now here you can see that what is showing, it is showing as v1 in front of your application version, right? Simple v1, right? Similarly, when we will redeploy the application of the second version of the same application, it should show the v2. Okay, in that case both application will be active at the same time. Okay, however the status of this particular application when we deploy the second version will be start running. Okay, in that case, that means it is, when it is showing it is start running, that means it is completing the previously connected sessions. Okay, once all connected sessions are completed, then it will be changed to the retired at last. After that you can delete that this particular version of the application. Okay, so as of now the version v1 is active, right? So what exactly we need to done after that one, we have to test the application. right? Because we are going to see that if the older sessions are still connected when we deploy the new application or not. So what we will do is we will access the application, okay, and after accessing the application we will keep this session open, right? And why we will keep this session open is that because when we will deploy the new versions of the application, then we will see that if both versions are working or not in parallel. That means once application version 2 is deployed, you should able to access the previous session which was earlier connected to the version 1, and similarly when you are going to access the application again, then it should go to the new application. That means it will show you that your both of the applications are still active at that time, right? So let us go back and let me try to access the application first. Okay, so for that I will check the URL from here, testing, right? So this is the default URL of my application. Okay, so let me access that one, simple and then default. Okay, let me click on default. So it is running on port 7003 and on manage server 1, right? It's not reachable. There would be some problem with that. I don't know what exactly is that. Let me check again. Okay, so this is accessing, we are trying to access this with the help of the private IP. However, we can access this application from the outer world with the help of my public DNS of my EC2 machine, right? So this is the reason. So let me try to access this with the help of like this one. Okay. Okay, so it will showing that this is right. So now, so what is the problem is that I have certain restrictions on my EC2 machine and it will not allow you me to show it on the my managed server. So let I do quickly, I will do one thing, because I'm going to just show you a demo how exactly it works. Okay, how we can use the both versions at the same time, right? So what I will do is I will shut down this application. Okay, just as a workaround. You may also get some kind of a problems in the future if you are going for some demo and testing purpose on the Amazon AWS or maybe on the any cloud. Okay, you may also get this kind of a problem that where you will not able to access it on a different port unless you will apply some workaround. Okay, so now what I will do is I will just delete this application. Why I'm deleting this application? Because I'm going to redeploy it, and but where I will redeploy this application on my admin server, because my admin server port, right, it is accessible from the outer world, right, from the for the Amazon AWS machine. So what I will do, I will deploy it on my admin server so that I can access the machine to show you on the demo. Okay, so let me again follow the same process, lock and edit, install, then I will set my application from the version 1, which is simple var next. Okay, install as an application, I will select the admin server, right? Again it is showing the application version 1. So let's go back, go to the next option and then click on finish. So now what we are doing is now we are deploying this application on the admin server. Okay, you can deploy the application on the admin server as well. How it is not recommended for the production environment. For testing and demo purpose, you can do that one to save the resources of your system as well. When you are working on some testing environment, on demo environment, you can test the application by deploying on admin server as well, right? And let me now go back to the deployment and see route. It is prepared now. Let me click on control and then let me start this application. Okay, so now my application will be started. Okay, and after that I will do the redeployment of my this application. But before that, what exactly we need to do the testing. Okay, this may not work, right, because this is the page which we are going to access, and now I will change it is port to 7001. Still have some problem. Let me try to access it again. So this is my public IP, the port of my managed admin server is 7001, and then I will use this simple web. Let me see if this is the okay. I think I was using the wrong context. Let me see simple. Okay, so now this is, you can see that this is the front end of my application, okay, which I have deployed on my admin server now. So why I have deployed on admin server? As I have explained, I have certain restrictions. I can't access my managed server port on the Amazon AWS machine because I haven't opened that port. That need to be opened explicitly for the inbound and outbound connections. Okay, it will just waste our time. So for that purpose, I just deployed it on my admin server. So this is application. Either you can consider it is already working on your admin server, or maybe you can consider it is working on your deployed on your cluster. Doesn't matter. Okay, so let me write some item on that one. Okay, digitalk demo. Okay, and then color, and then let me click on OK. Okay, so now you can see that this is the session which is connected to my version 1 of the application. Why I have shown you, because I will deploy the version 2 of my application, and I will still keep open this particular session so that you can see that your older as well as the new version, both applications are working at the same time, right? So now we have one application with the version v1 which we have deployed, and there is an open session for that application, right? So now what we do, we have to again go back for the updating this application, which is exactly defined in this particular document as well, right? This is update application version 2.0. Make sure this time we are not going to install. What we are doing is we are updating the existing application. So select the existing v1 version, click on the update, right? And then you have to click on the change path, right? Because now we have to select the which version. We have to select the version 2, right? Then we have to go to version 2 and then select next. Okay, now this is the path for your version 2, and then here you can see the archive version is version 2, and you have to select the option allow the application to finish its current sessions and then retire. Okay, that means this application will only be retired when all the active connections on the application will be completed successfully. Okay, then it will be only be retired. Okay, and as I said, once the application is retired, only after that you can able to delete the previous version of the application. Okay, then click on finish, and let us see what is happening there. Okay, and let's go back to document. So we have completed this section as well, right, where we are deploying the version 2 of the application, and we are at this stage, right? So now here you can see that selected deployment were updated, right? And then you have to activate the changes. Okay, now let me click on activate and see what is happening, right? So now you see that the status of my simple application version 2 is active now, right? And the status of my previous application is stop running. Okay, it is not stopped, but the status is stopped running. That means in this stage, whatever the connections those has already been connected to this particular application will complete it properly, and if any new connection is coming, that will be connected to your version 2. So let me show you that as well. Okay, so now this is the connection that we have already connected with the v1 version, right, earlier. So let me click on start over again, and let me see if it is working or not. See, it is working, right? And then let me type digi and then talk and then red. Okay, right? So you can see that I can able to access this session. Okay, and I can do the work, right? And this session is connected with the v1 version of the application, which is in the status of stop running, right? So that means my old applications sessions are still active, and I can able to complete my work without any problem, right? And now what we need to do is let us try to access the new version of the application. Okay, and let us see that how it works. Okay, so for that one, what we need to do is we have to open the session on a different browser, right? Because if I will open the session on the same browser, it will go with the same session, right? So let me open it in the different browser. Let I take as a Google Chrome. Okay, so now here you can see that hello version 2, right? So now this is the new session which I have connected from the new different browser, which is opening the version 2, right? But when I go back to my old session, I can still work on this old session as well, right, without any problem. Okay, so that means we have two versions of the applications are activated at the same time, v1 and v2. My v1 version is with the status of stop running. Wait, stop running, that means it is still serving my old request, those has been connected. before the redeployment, and if any new request will come to this particular application will get served from the new version. So what happened in that case? We haven't done any kind of a stop start of the application before deployment, and there is no downtime involved for the deployment. And this is the beauty and future of the production redeployment, which is also called the side by side deployment. So thanks for watching this video and stay tuned for the next video.